to run for mayor again. And it's been some years, but I was delighted to meet him at the Los Angeles Police Department building in the harbor area off of in Channel Street in Gibson, where it was mostly unoccupied except for being a way station, and it still is, just a way station. They spend lots of money there. They're supposed to house criminals, but that's not part of their agenda, as we know. So I met Mr. Davud Hernandez there, and we talked about that, and he told me his desire to open it up again, along with other plans to enforce laws against criminals. Isn't that an amazing thing to do? I think we were doing that 8 years ago, was it, or longer? Yeah.
Amazing concept.
Yes. So, and since then, it's been a delight for me to interact with him over the years and see him start up a radio station, the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club, and he has done some wonderful things, especially running for being the vice president of the California GOP in the Los Angeles area. He had a tough time of winning this past election, and we have factions within our group that, as we know, do not take strong stances against the Democrats. David does. And they didn't want somebody that strong. But guess what? He got voted in by 2 votes. And there's some stories behind that I won't go into, but I'm very glad he got reelected because he has a wonderful sense of communication throughout all of Los Angeles, which I didn't notice before with the previous vice presidents with the California GOP in the Los Angeles area. So I just want to say, God bless him, and God bless the right Republicans voting at the right time to bring him in. Yes. And I'd like to introduce him now because he has something to say about everything, and it's titled, Where Do We Go From Here? Everybody, Mr. Davud Hernandez. Vice President.
Thank you, sir. About 2 minutes to round up.
Oh, you got
okay.
45 minutes.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you.
Thank you. Welcome everyone, and it's really great to see the room filled. When Scott asked me to come and speak, there was 3 things that I wasn't aware of. One, the 405 freeway was not going to be at sunset under construction. Second, this was before the convention, so I had no idea whether or not I was going to be reelected, and turned out I was. And so my position, there's the Los Angeles County Republican Party, there's the CRA, statewide and individual chapters, and there is, like I said, the California Republican Party, which is different than the county. So I am not part of the county Republican Party. I was elected to the board of the state party, and my official title is regional vice chair. So I represent Los Angeles County to the state party. Prior to me being elected, the regional vice chair represented the state party to the county delegates. I turned it around because I believed that every individual in the county of Los Angeles had a right to be heard by the state Republican Party. That communication needs to go both ways. And it was something because, like Scott said, it was a contentious election. And when Scott asked me, well, what do you want your topic to be for your talk? And so it just came to me. It's like, okay, where do we go from here? But before we can decide where we go from here, we need to look back as to where we have come from. And also we need to know, where do we want to arrive? And more importantly, when? Those are all very important things. So my first entry into the Republican Party was in 2002. That was 23 years ago, Denny. And I was never involved in politics. I dropped my wife off at the Encino Oaks Federated Women to make phone calls at what I found out was a phone bank for President Bush. That was my entire involvement in politics. Because I had a daughter in softball, I had a son in t-ball, I was an independent insurance adjuster, I had business, I had different things. I didn't go to college. Out of high school, I went into the Navy just during the Vietnam War. So what qualifies me to get involved in politics? But when I got home, my neighbor said, David, how come, I told him where I was coming from, and he goes, wow, how come there's never a Republican to vote for Congress where we live? I was so uninvolved, I didn't know that. No Republican had run for Congress in my district in 10 years. And that wasn't unique. And it wasn't unique to Congress or the Assembly or the Senate. Republicans had given up in California back in 2002. The question was, right, Lydia, why bother? You can't win. So I thought, I was a business person. I don't think it's good business to not give your competition. And if you don't have a candidate out running and speaking in the community, if you don't have a Republican like Jessica or like so many others out there in the communities speaking to the voters, then they're going to believe the false narrative that the major media is portraying, that all Republicans are rich, white racists. It's kind of hard to for them to back that up when you see Hispanics and you see Koreans and when you see the people of this room. I mean, look around the room. This is what Republicans look like. And so if we don't have a candidate in every single district in California to counter that narrative, they are going to continue to lie, and gullible people are going to continue to believe them. And so, on my birth certificate, my father's occupation is listed as a banana loader, or as banana cutter rather, because his stepfather worked for the produce mart downtown, and when the freight cars would come in, and they'd bring in these all these big stocks of bananas, they'd go and they'd cut them up and send them off to the different markets. And so at night he went to school. I got a job as a clerk at an insurance company. It's called Transport Indemnity, that insured all of these long-haul truck drivers. And when he retired, he was vice president of that company. What other country on this planet gives us the opportunity to do that? That's why we're here today. That's why this is worth fighting for. And so I ran for office a number of times. Scott mentioned mayor, but I ran for Congress in 2002, and they're absolutely right. I didn't win, but I started to learn. And I learned about being a delegate to the state Republican Party. And I learned about being a voting member of the county party. In California, we have over 5 million Republicans, but there's only about 1,500 that actually get to vote on who the chairman of the party is, or the treasurer, or the platform, or endorsements, or any position that we want to take. Only 1,500 people in all of California get to vote on what we stand for. And so I ran a number of times. Someone said, David, you're like the perennial candidate. How many times have you run for office? And I said, well, one less than Abraham Lincoln and one's more than Richard Nixon. But in the end, they were both called Mr. President. If you don't give up and you stay and you commit. I mean, believe me, we're in California. The cavalry is not coming. And believe me, it is up to us. We are the cavalry. And so in 2018, I ran for lieutenant governor. And I drove up and down the state, Highway 5 and 99, stopping off at all the little ranch towns and farming communities, driving 6 hours to speak for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
They were like, they couldn't believe that I was willing to do that. I got more from them than they ever received from me. Because what I got from them is it showed me that California is far from being lost. The problem is Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
We're the anchor around the neck of California. We're the ones that have allowed this to go on. And so, when I finished that race, I didn't win. My opponent is sitting in there as lieutenant governor right now. I spent $30,000, she spent $12 million. And it was something to be at the Sacramento State University having a candidates forum where she was supporting open borders and I was the one speaking for controlled immigration. And people were looking at me like, well, wait a minute, you're Hispanic.
Yeah.
I go, what does that have to do with anything? If you look at me and you see a Hispanic and not an American, maybe you better rethink your, well, you know, and when my liberal friends tell me that, I says, boy, that's like a microaggression. You know, I'm feeling that you're really, but believe me, I've been called, you know, being an American of Hispanic descent or of anything other than that, you're gonna be attacked. Get used to it. I've been called every name in the book. You know, coconut. Those of you that don't know what coconut is, Denny, that's brown on the outside, white on the inside. And you know, a Tio Tomas or
Don't tell them the French thing.
a Bendito. I mean, right, Clarence.
Leave it up, feel your pain, bro.
That's right. And that's all coming from Democrats.
Yep.
Because I was at Politicon when it was over at the LA Convention Center, and I had a booth there, Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club.
Yeah.
And there was a MAGA hat hanging up there, and the liberal came up to the booth and was looking at it, and he goes, wow, you're really letting them use you. He said, you're like the Jews that cooperated with the Nazis.
Wow.
And so I asked him, I said, do you mean because I'm Hispanic I should be a Democrat? And he said, yes. I said, well, that sounds like you're a racist. And I knew we're on the right track.
That's right.
Because when they can't argue, they call you names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We set up a booth at the, and this was just last election cycle, we set up a booth at the Sherman Oaks Street Fair where 50,000 people came through. And we had our LA Hispanic Republican banners and we had, you know, Trump signs and all of our, because that's what we do as a club. We support candidates. We pay their filing fees. We help them collect signatures. We give them time on the radio. We do a lot. And so we were there with all of our candidate stuff, and somebody came up and looked and said, where's the Nazi stickers? I said, they were so popular, we ran out. Boy, you know what? You cannot be intimidated by them. Because that has happened far too long.
Oh, yeah, it really has.
And so,
You got used to it.
so 2 years ago, you know, I was done running for office, and I saw that LA County was really the problem.
Yeah.
And so the regional vice chair of LA County, that position came up. And the establishment had their candidate. And they had all the money, they had all of this, all of the momentum. But what we had is we had individuals like you, grassroots that ran for office. Yeah, they didn't win their election, but they became delegates to the state party. And like Jessica, when she becomes a delegate to the state party, she will be able to appoint delegates to the state party. And what that means is those delegates get to vote on party leadership, like I said, endorsements, more importantly, platform. And so, you want to volunteer on a campaign? There's one right here. Or Christina Irwin. Put in the time and the effort. And you may just be a delegate appointed by her. The more votes that these candidates get, the more delegates they get to appoint, whether they win their election or not. There is no waste in politics. It all has its meaning and is useful. And so, we were at the convention last week, you know, and I look back, it's like, okay, I was elected 2 years ago. First thing I did was I set up, because LA County is a big county, I set up regional training for delegates, for Central Committee members. I set them up, and I set one up in Woodland Hills, in Glendora, in Linwood, in Santa Monica, all free, providing people with resources. I went ahead and then I had a breakfast at the DoubleTree Hilton in Whittier, so that we can invite all the candidates that want to lead the Republican Party to come in and meet the delegates, because I wanted the delegates to be able to question who wants to be the leader of your party. And my position comes with no budget.
Yeah.
You know, it's about with no paycheck and no budget. And that hotel, that breakfast was like $5,000, Debbie. And so, but it's worth it, because my job description in the Republican Party bylaws is basically to strengthen the Republican Party base in Los Angeles County. Now, even though it doesn't come with a budget, I bring a very vivid imagination, because I've been doing this a long time. I know what people have not been doing. And so I got to the point where I'm going to stop talking about what people aren't doing. Do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Remember, the cavalry's not coming. And so then also, there's like with our mayor here, in which I had the mayor on. I also have a radio show on AM 870, The Answer, for now, where we bring candidates on. Not only partisan candidates, but also candidates for, individuals that are sitting on city council, school boards, mayors. Los Angeles County has 88 cities. We have a lot of elected officials sitting on those, in those seats as mayors and school board members and city council members. We need to support them. So I had another event at the DoubleTree Hilton where we invited 5 former Republican mayors from all over the county. We invited school board members. We invited a lot, because we wanted them to see that there is value in, as Republicans, coming out of the closet in those nonpartisan races, to be able to support our candidates for the partisan races. There has to be value there. And that was a great success. That had never been done before. Also, as regional vice chair, I participate in a board meeting with the chair of the party, the vice chair, the treasurer, the recording secretary, and I give a report from Los Angeles County. But what I do a week or 2 weeks before that, if you're a delegate, you receive an email from me telling you about the meeting and inviting you to give me comments, complaints, suggestions that I make part of my regional report with your name, so that the state party cannot say they're not aware of a problem or a positive suggestion. That had never been done before. And so, since that election in Anaheim 2 years ago, because we are in so much danger in California, because the children are in so much danger, the parental rights are being stripped right and left, religious rights are being stripped. I mean, we are in a very dangerous situation. So I spent the last 2 years trying to bring the party together. Not speaking out against any one group. I said, you know what? I don't want to hear MAGA. I don't want to hear Rhino. I want to hear Republican.
Okay.
Those of us that are involved in Republican politics in California know how much danger our children are in, how much danger our parents are in, how much danger the businesses are in, how much danger anyone is in, that we don't have a right to fine-tune the Republican Party. Not now. And yet, in spite of that position, in spite of those efforts, in spite of the tens of thousands of dollars spent, the hundreds of radio hours, I had 90 delegates in Los Angeles County vote against me. I had a former ambassador making phone calls against me. I had the chair of the LA County Republican Party making calls against me. I had the first chair of the LA County Republican Party nominate my opponent. I had the young Republicans working against me. I had the log cabin Republicans working against me.
What are they afraid
I had two
That's
assembly
still
members making calls and speaking out against me.
Why?
And so, because they wanted something else.
What did they want?
When I was elected, two things happened.
He didn't know what he was gonna do.
Right.
The grassroots, for the first time, secured a seat on the California Republican Party. The following day, the grassroots defeated the effort to remove traditional marriage and life from the California Republican Party.
I remember that, I remember that.
So, I know it's not personal,
No,
but it has to do with the platform.
yeah.
Yeah.
Platform.
There are individuals that are more focused on changing the Republican Party platform than winning elections. Now, granted, since 2002, what I've heard is that if the Republican Party becomes more moderate, we will get more individuals to vote for us. If that had been validated in the past 23 years, I might agree with it. But it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
When you eliminate protection for the family,
yeah.
when you remain silent about men participating in women's sports, or boys having the right to go into girls' locker rooms, when you sit back and you're silent about serial rapists who self-identify as a woman are being allowed to be sent into women's prisons and continue their behavior, when you're silent about that, I'm sorry.
You got an issue.
You know, we need to take a stand. Being silent about those issues does not make the Republican Party more attractive. And I rest a lot of the responsibility on the individuals that don't vote.
Yeah,
Whether their reason for not voting is biblical, whether their reason for not voting is because they've given up. When we look at the number of Christians in California and see that 50% of them are not registered to vote, and of the ones that are, over 40% don't vote. That's not Newsom's fault.
no, no.
That's not, what's his name, Wiener's fault, Scott Wiener's fault.
Rumor.
That's not Villalobos's fault, or Mayor Bass's fault. That's not anybody else's fault,
Let us,
except we have to look in the mirror.
yeah.
40% of Republicans have stopped voting. In the city of Los Angeles, you have 4 DSA city council members sitting in the horseshoe. You have them in the controller's office. You have them everywhere. We are losing not only the city of Los Angeles, we're losing the state of California.
Yeah.
So, when I was reelected, someone came to me and I said, David, you need to apologize for some of your supporters' tweets.
Really?
And I said,
Really?
I said, you know, as the votes were being counted, I made a decision that I was not going to hold any grudges against any of the people that called elderly delegates 4 times, 5 times, in a way that really tantamount to senior abuse, to get them to change their vote. It serves no purpose for me to retaliate against those people. But what we are going to do going forward, because this is now where do we want to be?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that not only in Los Angeles County, but in every county, all 58 counties in California, that there are conservative Republicans running for every single seat.
Yes.
Because they delegates. They will appoint delegates. And believe me, when I was elected 2 years ago and they attempted to change the party platform, that is not going away.
Yeah,
That will be back
yeah.
in the spring of 2027. Now, who will be voting in the spring of 2027? The delegates that run for office in 2026, and the delegates that they appoint. That's what we need to do. So yes, I'm focusing on California. We're making sure, or LA County, we're making sure that every candidate, or every assembly district, every senate district, every congressional district has a candidate that's gonna be on the ballot. But we're also working with other regional chairs up and down California to make sure every single of one of those 80 assembly members in California, we wanna make sure we have a candidate in every seat. And also with the Senate districts and the congressional districts. Because our opposition is far from giving up. Now, here's the kicker. The filing period for the June election closes in February. So that means if we're going to protect the platform of the California Republican Party as is, we only have 5 months. That's the urgency. We have to think ahead. When that filing period closes, every single seat that does not have a candidate in there will go unchallenged, but there will not be a delegate. Now, in the past, once that filing period closes, right, Lydia, you could run as a write-in candidate. And as a write-in candidate, your name would not appear on the ballot, but if you were the only Republican and received the most votes, even if it was one, you become the nominee and the ex officio and a delegate. 2 conventions ago, Denny, my opponent for regional vice chair 2 years ago, introduced a bylaws change that you do not become a delegate unless your name appears on the ballot. Very sneaky. So that means write-in candidates would not become delegates and would not appoint delegates. Now, some of you are here for the first time. This isn't a gloom and doom story. This is very optimistic, because what I'm telling you is things are the way that they are because they've been designed to be that way. If everyone was doing what they could be doing, should be doing, and it was this bad, I would tell you to move.
Yeah.
But this is an opportunity for us. I'm really excited about what's happening. At the state party level, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's not pretty. It's gonna get pretty hairy in the next 6 months, and that's gonna be an opportunity for us. At the election in March, our second vice chair of our Hispanic Republican Club, Jack Guerrero, was elected to treasurer of the California Republican Party. Jack Guerrero is from Cudahy, son of immigrants. I mean, brilliant, Stanford, Harvard, all of the. I want to be Jack when I grow up. But we now have 2 seats. And in this last election, when I was reelected, we had a conservative elected to the regional vice chair for Riverside and San Bernardino County. So we got 1 more vote on the executive board, David Marco. And believe me, the same individuals that were fighting against me were fighting against him.
Yeah.
But what does that show us? That we as conservatives are winning. We're not only winning within these associated groups, but we now have 5 voting seats on the executive board of the California Republican Party. We are not slowing down. And so Now comes Proposition 50. Right now, California has 52 congressional districts. The Democrats already have 43 out of 52. That's with the independent redistricting committee.
Independent.
Yeah.
And that wasn't independent.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what, it's like, what's the definition of is?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the definition of independent?
We got Maxine Waters, that's what happened.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so the Democrats already have 43. Republicans have 9.
Yeah,
The way the new maps are drawn, we're gonna end up with 3.
that's right.
And they're gonna get, what, 6 more.
Yeah.
I thought it was 5.
That's fine.
This is not only bad for Republicans, it's bad for Democrats. And bad for independents. Because right now, the Republicans control the House. They're gaining more seats in Texas and other states. They're gonna be controlling the House after November 4th. If Proposition 50 passes in California, do you really think that a Republican congressman from Arkansas or Tennessee or Florida is gonna really care about sending millions and billions of dollars to California in federal funds? No.
No.
I mean, here we are, people in California in our own party are talking about splitting the state.
Yeah, right. That's coming up again.
How's that gonna work out? How did that work out during the Civil War?
Might be an improvement, actually.
And so, it's an exciting time to be a Republican and to be new to politics and to be young because there is so much opportunity. And so, right now, with Proposition 50, you have some of our old nemesis have resurfaced. Opposing Prop 50, you've got Charles Munger,
Yeah.
who was kind of responsible for the way that the LA County Party is in. And you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was responsible for giving us the jungle primary.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that eliminated the top 2, closed primary.
Close primary.
He enabled Maldonado. But that's okay, because they're out there spending millions
Yeah.
fighting Proposition 50. And you have one of the assembly members who campaigned against me is out there also fighting Proposition 50 at the same time that he's collecting signatures for voter ID, which is a good thing and I support. So you see, we can't hold grudges, because if you hold grudges, in the end,
They'll come
it's
back.
like having a resentment, you know? You take the poison and you wait for the other person to die. It don't work out too well. And so there are others. Now, 3 months ago, when the news of Prop 50 was coming up, we had a special meeting with all of the regional vice chairs and the chair and vice chair, treasurer, and recording secretary of the state party, who also campaigned against me. Just a little FYI. And so we had already put together a plan to fight Proposition 50.
You don't hear the truth.
We already had 3 law firms ready, already lining up. Harvey Dillon's law firm.
Oh, yeah.
The California Republican Party was ready to fight Prop 50.
So what happened?
The cavalry decided they're not gonna come.
Oh,
So the congressional individuals decided not to fund our efforts.
oh, that's nice.
So it is left upon us.
Yeah.
One of the reasonings was, why waste $6 million in California when we can spend it in another state and gain more seats? Why spend $36 million to try and save 5 or 6 seats in California when we can spend it and get 20 seats in other states?
That's right, they can.
So it kind of sounds like The Sopranos. It's not personal. It's just business. And so when I say the cavalry is not coming,
You mean it?
that's just the reality.
Yeah.
So our weekly meetings with Sean Steele, the regional committee man,
Yeah.
says, it's up to you, regionals.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, we don't have a budget.
Yeah.
And so they are providing through the state party is able to provide through votive training to be able to get voter data and information, walk sheets. They have, if you go to the California Republican Party website, you can sign up for their training sessions. I encourage as many people as possible to do that. Become an expert on this new data platform that we have. Because what we're doing is we're focusing on those 40% of Republicans that have given up. The high propensity voting Republicans, they're gonna vote. But if we focus on the 40% that have stopped voting, regardless of what happens on November 4th, if we can get 20% of those Republicans that have given up to come back and just to mail in your ballot,
Yeah, that's all it takes.
that is gonna benefit all of our candidates in June.
Yeah.
That's gonna benefit all of our candidates going forward in November. I used to hear, stop preaching to the choir. I'm sorry. The choir needs preaching to,
Yeah,
because they need to realize that their belief that their vote doesn't count is exactly what the Democrats want them to think.
that's the problem.
And their vote counts more than others,
Yeah.
because 50% of Democrats aren't voting either. And when you had 55% of Hispanic males vote for President Trump, that was a shockwave to the
That's right,
Democrats.
that's right.
When you had 43% of Hispanic families voting for President Trump, that was a shock. That's why now with what's going on in the streets in the different cities in Los Angeles with the ICE rage,
Yeah,
it's nonstop
yeah,
with Telemundo and Univision and the mainstream media.
yeah.
Now, they don't necessarily tell you all the truth. So when people approach me and they say, well, what about this, this, and this? And I said, well, you know what? If I had the limited information that you had, I would feel exactly the same way as you.
Yeah,
First of all, any encounter with any law enforcement that is physical is ugly.
yeah, yeah.
Whether it's LAPD, the sheriffs, any physical encounter for any reason looks like it looks when we see what's going on there. But what you're not being told is about the warrants
Yeah,
that they're
Yeah.
enforcing.
that's right.
You're not being told about individuals that have gone through the process. Because what we're hearing, all of a sudden, the Democrats recognize and respect the Constitution. Oh yeah, we want due process. Well, okay.
yeah.
Many of these people that have orders for deportation were given those orders by the Biden administration because they had gone through the process. And if you had municipalities cooperate with the feds, individuals who have been arrested for committing crimes would be transported peaceably in the jails.
Yeah, we're not getting out of that.
But when you have municipalities refusing to do that because of politicians like Karen Bass
That's right.
and others,
Care Bear.
then when someone goes, because people know where people live,
Yeah,
or where they work, or where they usually go to work, whether it's a Home Depot or
Yeah.
a car wash or whatever.
yeah,
Innocent other people that have not committed any other crime, who would have not been apprehended, pay a price.
yeah.
It is unfair for municipalities not to cooperate with the federal government. And so, I'm really looking forward to what we have in store. You know, I spent from 11 o'clock on watching the memorial and listening to different individuals. We need to be very careful how we respond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, I found myself saying, this was just last week, thinking, you know, I'm getting sick and tired of individuals going in there and kicking around Charlie Kirk's memorials or putting blue paint all over a rock on the campus. And all these conservatives are standing around clutching their pearls and taking photos or doing cell phone videos. Why doesn't somebody step in and stop them? And so on my radio show, I want to find out exactly what our rights and our responsibilities are. So I'm gonna invite Chris Darden, a criminal defense attorney.
Yes.
Some of you remember him from OJ.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember.
I'm gonna invite a member of law enforcement. I'm gonna send out an invitation to the district attorney. Because too many times, conservatives have found themselves in situations where they've been preyed upon. And they don't react. So, I wanna temper that with saying, I'm not organizing a vigilante group. But I wanna know what your rights are. Because you may find yourself in a situation, and it may not just be about a protest. I mean, we have, for some reason, we have become desensitized to crime around us. We become desensitized. Where I live in Valley Village, which is a nice part of North Hollywood. There are people on the street every single block. And it's normal to drive by and not stop. You know, I stop. And I call the paramedics to come and see if they're alive.
Yeah.
You know, there are certain things that we need to do as human beings, as members of society. We can't allow ourselves to become numb. Because when someone is being assaulted and no one steps in to help them, we see what happened to that young girl on that transit. That's happening every day in Los Angeles. People are being set on fire on public transportation in Los Angeles. People are being robbed every day in Los Angeles.
And ambassadors.
And so,
Jesus.
like I said, we're more of the cavalry
Yeah.
than we want to be.
Yeah,
But
so be it.
I think it's important that we, as individuals, as Californians, as Republicans, as conservatives, they're not all the same, right? Right, Arthur? Not all Republicans are conservative.
Right.
And, but, you know, we invite everyone into our party, but don't try and change our party from within.
Right, right.
And that is something that I will be spending the next 2 years speaking about, encouraging people to get involved, and you had a hand?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the answer to where we go from here. You know, I'm.
Well, where we are going from here is,
I think we should, this next month, our focus should be totally on Prop 50. And
Right.
after that, Coach, tell us where do you want us to go next?
yeah, well, what we need to do next is you need to contact everyone that you know and let them know that there's an election on November 4th. Most people don't know that.
That's right. Ballots are being mailed out October 1st.
And the ballots come out, what, in,
2 weeks?
October 6th.
okay, so they're gonna be getting their ballots. So just start with calling people that you know. Say, do you know there's an election November 4th? You're gonna be getting your ballot.
Is there anything else on the ballot?
Nope.
Nope, that's it.
That's it.
I have a question. You said about, like, you call them the Nazi. Have you noticed they never call Republicans Stalin or Mao?
Yeah.
It's always Hitler. What happened to Stalin, who killed millions, Mao, who killed millions? You never hear them mention
Well,
that.
that's because they're not gonna speak out against communism, come
That's
on.
why.
If it wasn't for the 24 million murdered, communism might seem kind of attractive. It's the little things, right, Denny?
Pointing out the ignorance of history.
And actually,
Strictly speaking, Hitler was a communist, but he was a
I kind of miss
national.
being called a coconut. I mean, I'd rather be called a coconut than a Nazi, I'm sorry. And, but what to do is we need to make, I brought some door hangers that was put out by the party for vote no on Prop 50, so I'll leave those with Scott.
David, I helped a week ago, I had those door hangers in my truck in my car because I offered a week ago to help with effort for No on 50 in Orange County.
Oh, okay.
And every door that I went to, 100% of every door says, oh, we know all about that. We're gonna vote against it. You're wasting your time. And I've talked to Scott about this through texting, that we need to have more updated precinct lists so we can be rest assured that we're getting accurate information about the 40% local presence.
Right. Well, and Scott, you definitely go on Votive. I mean, you can go on there, go to the California Republican Party website and sign up for a votive training, and then you'll be able to
Votive
get
training
access
is
to it.
very important, as he said, and that just came out, we were just educated about it at the recent convention, and we're gonna get more information out to you guys on that. That's what we wanna concentrate out. With people who are interested, we're gonna be doing that very shortly. We have 25 people that signed up for their own precinct before. With Votive, we have the ability to go beyond that. And in October, we're gonna have a precinct pizza party where we'll go even further. A lot of the people will be deciding on Prop 50, yes or no, probably within the first 3 weeks before November 4th.
Yeah.
So we're running behind the cart right now, and we're trying to get in front of it.
Well, we are. Roy?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yesterday I picked up 2 large lawn, signs from, Roxanne out at Santa Monica, not Santa Monica, but Southern California Women and Men's Club.
How much were they?
Pardon?
Did they charge you for them?
Yeah, I paid $30, got 2, that's fine, whatever. But the whole point is they're going to go up. Now, we live in View Park, which is up in the black neighborhood, actually the Black Beverly Hills of Los Angeles. And all of my neighbors are voting against 50. And they jog by in the morning yelling at me, hey, we're going against 50, thank you.
Thank God.
And I'm still gonna be hanging door hangers in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Well, and you know, and what's important is you don't have to have a professional sign. Make your own sign.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these candidates, like at our campaign office in Woodland Hills, I've got campaign signs from all these different, we're gonna turn them inside out and
I know, we got a bunch
make
of
our,
them too.
make our own signs. Be creative. You know what? It is so dire that, A, we need to be creative, we need to have fun,
Yeah.
but we need to stay focused. Because when Prop 50 loses, this is going to be seen as a Republican victory.
That's right.
Now, it's not only, like I said, not only Republicans that vote against it, but Gavin Newsom has made this him against Trump.
Yep, yep.
And so when we win in November, those Republicans, voters that have given up all of a sudden, wow. Look at what we can do if we get back engaged. And so I think this is an opportunity that Gavin Newsom and those individuals in Sacramento have given us.
Do it for Charlie.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a
Yeah.
great statement.
Have more questions?
yeah.
You were such a great speaker, you
Yes,
just
he
touched
is.
my heart, and I just thank Scott for having you here. And how can we get you on like the John Cobell show? He has such a gigantic voice.
I have my own radio show. AM 870 The Answer.
8 o'clock Saturday evening. 8 o'clock Saturday evening.
7 o'clock now, 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock. Okay, that's before you go out for entertainment.
870.
Thank you, Drew.
Arthur?
Okay, so in Massachusetts, how the state party works is that there is 50 committee members for the number of state senators, and everybody votes for their committee member for the state party. You've made it really clear that, 1,500 delegates representing the entire party of California is not working, not good. How do you want to change the structure of it? I'm just giving you an example with
Well, the first
Massachusetts.
thing-
What do you
First
think?
thing we need to do is to take advantage of the structure.
Okay.
Is that when Jessica appoints five delegates, she represents 6 votes. If she wins, she gets more than that.
10.
Christina Irwin, when she wins, she'll be able to appoint. So remember, we have 80 assembly members in California. That's 80 seats that we can have candidates for. Now, granted, there are some incumbents, but it's very few. The Democrats have a supermajority. And so between the Assembly, Senate, and Congress, if we can go ahead and control 800 votes, we'll be able to not only protect the platform in the spring of 2027, we'll be able to really elect a different leadership with the state Republican Party, because that will be up for election at the same time.
I get that, but how would you like to change it? Like thinking bigger, to
Well,
make
I
it more
think
responsive?
every member of the central committee should be a delegate to the state party. Because, and every organization, I know Scott's a delegate, but, I think Texas has something like 5,000 delegates.
For their convention, their state convention.
Right, and so we have 1,500,
Yeah,
and so,
That's sweet.
stop trying to control an agenda with a small amount of people.
Yeah.
And there are just some things that need to be addressed. And, we have great candidates that are running for governor. I've met with a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
But, you've got 10 million Democrats in California and 5 million Republicans.
That's a problem.
They're gonna need our help.
Yes, I'm not clear on something, and I needed more clarification.
Okay.
Are we restructuring the Republican Party?
Well, we're restructuring, there was an attempt to restructure the platform. See, if you go on the California Republican Party website and you look at what our platform is, it covers a lot of issues, and unlike the national party, which is not as conservative as, can you imagine that? The national party is not as conservative as California. That it's because of the grassroots delegates that defeated the attempt to make it more of a progressive platform. So, yeah, the effort is to change our position as a party. Remember the Democrat Party where they had their convention and they were gonna remove God from their platform?
they booed God.
Yeah, and someone who wants to be your governor, Antonio Villagrosa, was the one overseeing that.
Right, right.
2012.
Yeah, and so it's important to get involved at any level, whether it's to make a phone call for a just think every single Republican that runs in any partisan seat, if they're the Republican that gets the most votes in that race, even if it's just one, they will be part of that 1,500 come the spring convention of 2027.
How can we rely on ethical counting of the votes when the majority of the vote counters in LA County are Democrat?
Well, and that's a problem because it's, controlled by the register recorder here in LA County and Shirley Weber, whose seat is up for re-election. So we need to make sure that the Secretary of State's race in California is one that's just not ignored because it's not as flashy as governor. It's very important. Remember, Alex Padilla was the Secretary of State. And when he was ordered by the courts to remove all of the bloated voter rolls, they removed them, but then they turned around and put them right back on.
So they could say, well, we took them off, but did you put them back on next day?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things, just think of it this way. There's a lot of opportunities to be of service. You can go ahead and volunteer to work for the county, working at the polls, because they will have centers. You can volunteer to help candidates. You can volunteer to spread the word that there's plenty of things to do. Let's focus on Prop 50 right now, and then we've got 5 months to make sure that come February first, I think it's February 5th, that we have a Republican in every seat. And don't let anyone tell you that running in a district with 3-1 Democrats over Republicans is a waste of time. It's not, because let's be thinking spring 2027. Do you want the Republican Party to remain the Republican Party after 2027? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. What are you willing to do in order to make that come about? So, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.